So we are so excited today. We are talking about Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. And it's an interesting experience, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm Rachel, and I have two special guests to talk about this film with me. I have my friend Richard from way across the pond that has joined me for all these Harry Potter videos. And so thanks for coming on the podcast, Richard.
My pleasure.
Yeah. We have my friend Hayden is here.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting film to talk about. So before we dive into this one, why don't we each give sort of our thoughts about what we thought about maybe the franchise in general and also the original Fantastic Beasts film. You can listen to the podcast that we did way back then, me and Richard, and I think it was just the two of us actually for that one.
I think it was, we had a Tom Blakeney with us because I think Jeremy and Abby had to drop out.
Right. Okay. So we had the three of us that talked about the original film. So I'll put a link down to the whole playlist. If you want to listen to any of our Harry Potter coverage, you can. And but let's just remind people what we thought about the franchise as a whole and the original Fantastic Beasts film. So Hayden, what about you?
Okay, so I've always been a massive Harry Potter fan ever since the first book, and then I've also very much enjoyed the movies. Fantastic Beasts, the first one, I think is fine. It's a perfectly standard blockbuster, I guess. I don't really have anything against it. There are some major issues, but overall it's fine.
Mm-hmm. So what about you, Richard?
Hey. Well, when I first heard about the Fantastic Beasts franchise, I wasn't quite sure how they were going to get 5 movies, because I was to plan 5 movies out of this little textbook that was released for, I think, Comic Relief back in around 2000, same time I got Goblet of Fire. But I was quite excited for it, particularly as J.K. Rowling herself was going to be writing it. And I was a little bit disappointed by the first movie because it wasn't too bad, but I just didn't think the story and the characters were really quite that interesting, so I only gave it a 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the Harry Potter books, but I was older when I first started reading them. I was a sophomore or junior in college, so it's a little bit different than the people who was a formative part of their childhood. But I did enjoy them, and I enjoyed the movies except for the original movies, except for 7 Part 1, Deathly Hallows Part 1, which at the time I thought was so boring. I didn't like it. But I started doing the podcast on Harry Potter feeling really positive about the franchise, but I found, at least for me, that most of the movies didn't hold up the way I thought that they were going to hold up. And what I've kind of realized is that I think that the Harry Potter stories are mysteries. They're little mysteries where they have all these clues and these things, like there's a problem to be solved, and then they kind of have to follow these clues. And yes, there's an overriding narrative, but each book kind of stands on its own as this little kind of adventure / mystery. And for me, at least, as somebody who read them as an adult, reading them again, once I already knew what was going to happen, it wasn't, or watching them again, found them a little bit plodding, depending. Some are better than others, but I don't know. Just the whole process was like, this is not as fun as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I enjoyed being with my friends podcasting, but just the process of rewatching them wasn't as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. But nevertheless, I would still consider myself a fan of the franchise as a whole. And then Fantastic Beasts came out, and I wasn't really into it. I thought that tonally it was just all over the place. It would be really slapsticky, and then would be really pretty dark and violent mixed together. I didn't really like Newt as a protagonist. I thought that he would have made a much better side character than a lead character, and I get his appeal in theory as the lead character, having this, kind of on the spectrum type character. I like that in theory, but I don't know, just execution-wise, I couldn't understand what he said a lot of the time, and he wasn't making eye contact, and it just didn't work for me. I didn't really bond with him. And I hated the big reveal at the end. I would have much rather had Colin Farrell than Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah,
He looked ridiculous.
ridiculous. And I just don't know what they were thinking, because I don't know anybody that even, well before, obviously they planned these movies well in advance, but even then, even like say 2 years before the movie came out, I can't imagine anyone being like, Johnny Depp over Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell is like so much better. But
It's another famous actor.
yeah, right. And so I don't know, but I liked Queenie and Jacob a lot. I thought they were the best part of the movie for sure. And I liked some of the beasts. They were cute, the Niffler and stuff like that.
Niffler, yeah.
So I was like, I didn't really like it, but I felt like the things they needed to correct were easily correctable. So I was hopeful that this next movie would be much better, and I'd be kind of, like a lot of first movies kind of start a little rocky in a series, and then then the second movie will be great, and then third movie will kind of, close things up. But I guess there's 5 of these, but whatever. That was kind of my hope. But let's talk about our experiences seeing this one. So I went with my friend. We went out to dinner before. It was somebody I hadn't seen in quite a while. And so in that sense, I had a very pleasant evening. But this was the most exhausting movie that I have seen since Warcraft. And both of those movies I had to take a break. Literally, I had to go out into the hallway to just I don't know, I just felt completely stressed out by the experience of watching it. There was so much going on, so much information, so many characters, so many plot lines. I had no idea what I was experiencing. I didn't understand what was happening. And my initial thought was, well, I guess maybe this is like outside my pay grade. That maybe this is something that that people that really know all of this Pottermore stuff and whatever, maybe they will understand it and they will like it. Because I had a couple of friends who've gone to really early screenings who had liked it. So I'm like, I guess this is just not for me. But it seems like to me, from what I've read, is that most of the people that were the hardcore fans actually hated it even more than I did. But I really thought it was a miserable experience. I did not enjoy it really at all. I thought it was just exhausting from frame one. It was just, I don't know. I didn't like the way it was filmed. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like the changes they made to the characters I did like. I didn't like things that had to do with the lore. And the more I think about it, the more it just unravels. Just every part of it is just like, what were they thinking? So yeah, I did not have a good experience with this film. No. What about you, Richard?
Well, I went into this movie really hoping I would like it. I wanted to like it in spite of I didn't read that many reviews in full because I wanted to go in like as open a mind as possible. Yeah. But then we start off and with Grindelwald's escape, and I'm immediately thinking, like, why does he have to hijack the carriage? He's already in the form of another person, can't he just sneak away? And I started realizing that, and this is probably not going to be the cleverest film. And so I'm kind of watching it, trying to get some positives out of it, but there's just so many different threads, and there's so much time when you see one character and then when you see them again, you have to think about where they were last time you saw them, what they were doing. I remember I literally face palmed in the theatre twice. Like the first time when Tina is going on at Newt about how she thinks he's engaged with Edith Strange, and Newt's just kind of mumbling. I don't know, there's something you don't understand about that, and I'm just thinking about how hard is it to say I'm still single.
Yeah.
And then I did it again, and right at the end when we get the big reveal about Creed Edens, because I was just thinking, oh God, Rowling just does not care, does she? I just kind of realised that, and that she just didn't care about keeping consistent, because that in no way fits in the canon of the books. You cannot make it fit.
Yeah. Hey, Aiden, what about you?
Yeah, so I was pretty hesitant to see it. I mean, I knew I was going to see it anyway because I'm like obligated to at this point. So I went on an early fan screening, and there were so many people dressed up, and that was really cool. They had like really nice, elaborate costumes. And then the movie started, and I don't know if this was in later showings or what, but they had like a little like Here's What You Missed Last Time,
Mhm.
Fantastic Beasts, and that was like kind of an indication where I was just like, oh no. And so as the movie went on, my reactions were basically, okay, cool. Wait, what? Huh? Pardon? What? What is going on? What?
Yeah.
And then I just walked out, like, just feeling a mixture of disappointment and anger and shame.
Yeah. I was angry and I was laughing.
Yeah.
I was just laughing at how terrible it all was.
You like this get that deranged state where you're just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I have to laugh or I'm gonna cry.
There were like a bunch of fans like too that were like, we're all gonna take a group picture after the movie's over, and I didn't like, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I don't really want to.
Yeah. I mean, I really kind of admire people that like this movie because I just like, what? Like, I don't, like, I have one friend who legitimately seems to think it was like interesting and like likes following these clues or something. I don't really understand. And then I have one friend who was like, oh, I just turned off my brain and just watched. I'm like, I fundamentally just don't understand that. Like, I don't know.
It broke my brain trying to understand it.
I mean, I guess
I
walked out of the movie with a headache after like the final third.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people I know in real life who I've spoken to, they liked it, and they couldn't
Really?
understand, and they were quite surprised when I said I hated it.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
None of my friends have liked it. Like none of them.
Yeah. Most of my friends haven't liked it, and I don't know. Like, I wish I had that ability to just be like, "Ooh, the pretty images on screen." But like, I don't even think it was that pretty. Like, it was just very gray and bland, and it was like that opening sequence with it's stupid, but the opening sequence where he escapes is stupid, but it's also incredibly hard to follow.
I had no idea what was going on.
You couldn't tell because there was so much movement and the way the camera angles were, you just couldn't tell what was happening.
Yeah, like people are drowning at one point, and then like it's like above the water, and then there's like, I had no idea what was going on, and I don't know. It's baffling, and I think it's something I have been saying actually for a long time that I felt like, because I feel like J.K. Rowling ended the Harry Potter books on a perfect note. Like, they're not perfectly written books. There's issues with them as far as like if you really analyze them for literary critique, but I think that I loved the way that every character kind of got their moment, and I loved the way that Harry was able to sort of stay kind of innocent. He never kind of gave in to the many, many times he could have become bitter and gone to the wrong franchise, but gone to the dark side. He never did that. He always was a very pure character, in my opinion, and I really appreciated that about the finale and how she was able to just balance so many things and get them all, me feeling like every character got their moment. Everybody kind of ended like, and it was a bold ending because people died. There were stakes. I just think it worked so well. And then what I feel like happened is kind of similar to what happened with George Lucas and Star Wars, is that like you start to just pick at your creation bit by bit by bit. And it's like, oh, I'm going to add this. I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. And it just starts to kind of take away some of the imagination, and it takes away some of that perfect ending, I think. And she started with Pottermore, and just like seemed like almost every month there would be some like, J.K. Rowling said, Dumbledore's gay, or J.K. Rowling said whatever. And not that any of those things are necessarily bad. It's just like, it just sort of takes a little bit away from that imagination of you kind of telling your own story with the story that she's given you. And kind of like George Lucas with the special editions. Since he's got
I'll say this for George Lucas though. At least his movies are like vaguely coherent.
Yeah. And so, yeah, then they both ended up doing prequels. And yeah, I mean, most of the problems with the prequels are more the acting and the script, as like the dialogue, as opposed to the core story not making sense. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, those are the bits everybody complains about, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's almost overwhelming. Where do we start?
I just want to say, like, when I was watching this movie, what it felt like was that I had watched an entire like season of Game of Thrones or something, like just edited down into like a slightly over 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Like there was just, and like I've been saying that it should have been like maybe like a TV series or something, like this whole franchise, because there's just so much going on, and it seems like J.K. Rowling does not know how to edit it down, let alone write a screenplay.
No. Well, one of the things that really irritated me from the beginning, because the nice emotional end of Fantastic Beasts was the rain coming and taking everybody's memory so that they wouldn't remember all of this destruction that had happened. And you see Jacob and Queenie having to say goodbye, and she comes into the bakery and they don't recognize each other, they don't know each other, and you know, it's like that was a teasing kind of way of like, well, what's going to happen next, and how is this going to work? And then in this one, like, not only is she are they together, but she's trapped in this enchantment and got into London, and it just and supposedly the rain only took away bad memories. Like, what? And so I just I don't know. Hayden,
Yeah, just like, is that it?
like they literally kind of destroyed Queenie in this movie. Like,
yeah.
The worst.
Oh yeah.
She went from being like my favorite character to just being like, I honestly don't even know if I have the strength to like say how much like she changed for me as a character, because it's just so depressing.
Yeah, how do you take your favorite character, the best character in the franchise, and turn her into a girl who roofies her fiance for like a year, and who becomes a Nazi at the end of the movie? You're like, what?
And also, like, she's implied to be like Jewish, so that's another like layer of.
What?
Did you think about what you were writing?
That's right. That's true. Yeah.
She gets taken in so easily as well. That's what bothered me. The fact that she turns to the dark side at the end.
Mind. She's like a mind reader. Like like the moment like he walked in, like she couldn't have just like read his mind. Like.
So like Jacob doesn't want to marry Queenie because it'll be illegal in America, but they're not living in America. So like, what? Like, I mean, if you accept this ridiculousness with the rain, then you have to accept that, and then she's then like, why couldn't they just have a conversation? Okay, let's go to London.
Also, like, I thought that with the like mind reading, maybe like that horrible explanation would just be Queenie lying. Would have made some form of sense, but then it like after like Jacob's mind is like brought back, like then it's just like, no, he does remember everything. So
it's bizarre. And so already with that, it was just like, ugh.
It was a weird sort of love potion as well, wasn't it? I mean, like when Ron gets that love potion in Half-Blood Prince, he's totally obsessed with Romilda Bain, but he is still like sort of able to function. Whereas Jacob is just completely acting like he's drunk. He's acting like a drunk baby who can't even like put his own napkin on, and can barely even speak, and he's just like acting completely drugged.
Well, and it's one of those things, the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, in the world of Me Too, like, what is J.K. Rowling thinking? Like, having a character, like, they could not have a movie with a character like that if the character was a woman and the enchantress was a man, like a male wizard. Exactly. It would be unfit to like. I mean, it's still unfit, but they wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, people would be up in arms about it.
Yeah, it would be no question. And so it's bizarre. And the thing that I didn't really feel, the big thing that I felt like was such a miss in this movie, and was maybe a little bit in the last one, but I felt like in the last one they tried to kind of create some degree of sort of separation between the Nomage and the American wizarding world that felt Harry Potter-ish. But in this one, it was like that was just completely gone. All that time spent in American stuff was just completely wasted. And then I just felt like it was so weird the way that it didn't feel like Harry Potter to me. It's like you had the wizards wearing Muggle clothes. You had references to Muggle events. Later in the movie, you see Grindelwald shows tanks and talks about World War II. Like that is am I right, Richard? That like those kind of Muggle events have never really been part of Harry Potter lore, right?
Well, there's only real possible reference is the fact that in the first book it's mentioned that Dumbledore defeated Grindelwald in 1945, the same year that World War II ended. And Rowling kind of insinuated in interviews after that the Muggle and the Wizarding Wars had kind of fed each other, that there was some kind of connection between them, but nobody ever went into detail about it.
I don't know. That was so weird to me. I was like, are wizards, can they like be drafted? Are they in the army? Like, why aren't they using their spells and their powers to like stop Hitler? Like, there was a reference to a concentration camp in this movie, and I was like, what? Are wizards put in the concentration camp? Are they? I have no idea. Like, what?
Yeah, maybe Rowling decided either with this series she wanted to like go into more detail about that because it was so. You could only like to kind of. There's hardly any details about it in the book, so you had I just kind of try to imagine for yourself.
It was so weird. I don't know. I didn't understand what really Grindelwald's goal is. Is his goal to purge non-magic from the wizarding community? Is his goal to have power and be some kind of ruler overall? Is his goal, like, what is he trying to do? What do you think, Caden? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. Like, I like got like a vague sense he wanted power and was maybe using things to manipulate, but it was very unclear. And I just like got the sense, oh, he's evil, I guess.
Yeah, he's evil.
Yeah.
He throws an iguana out of a carriage and kills it. See, he doesn't like animals. Evil.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's his followers kill a baby.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this about the movie too. Like, both parts of the title are lies. There are barely any Fantastic Beasts in it, and Grindelwald like does not commit any crimes besides escaping from prison and assembling without a permit.
So it's kind of like the statue of John Harvard, then. You know about that, the statue of Three Lies.
Yeah. So I think there was a deleted scene where he steals a candy bar from a 7-Eleven, but they deleted it from the movie because Warner Brothers thought it was too intense.
Yeah, did you feel like there was some executive tampering of some kind in this?
Well, there seemed to be a few. There seemed to be a bit of cutting, didn't there? Like with the guy that Grindelwald didn't seem to trust at the beginning of the film, and then he burns up at the end, and there's nothing between that.
Yeah, I agree. It was very messy. Just, I don't know. There were just so many stories and so many subplots. You have, what did you think of this Lita Lestrange character? Yeah. Like, I thought that, like, I don't know,
potential, but then they just like completely did like this whole cliched story with her that made no sense, like, really, and it was so convoluted and just stereotypical and frustrating.
Because they wanted to hire a black actress, it seems like, so then they had to go out of their way to kind of show this backstory of how this white family had this black baby, and you have like her dad had a mistress, I guess. Then like
he used the Imperious curse on her, so he basically kidnapped her and raped her.
Oh, okay, yeah. And both of them died in childbirth. Both.
Yeah, I guess witches dying in childbirth was like a thing in the 1930s. Even in the
Because
10
remember,
whenever they were
Mirape Gort died just after childbirth, didn't she?
It's a it's a rough
Yeah,
time
so-
for women.
Yeah, and Voldemort will be born just around this time.
Gosh. And then so she has a brother that cries a lot, and they are going to America to put the brother in a orphanage.
Yeah, to keep him safe from the guy who made the unbreakable vow, apparently.
Also, and like she just, and aren't there like spells like that can like aren't there like spells that can like silence people that she could have used instead or asked somebody?
Well, she was only a little girl. Maybe she didn't have.
But she could have asked somebody, "Hey, the baby's crying and it's kind of bugging me. Maybe
Like, get some earplugs, lady." Like this, there was very little magic in this movie. There was very little. Like at the end, like he does that ring of fire, but aside from that and a few other little things, but there was very little actual magic in this movie.
Yeah. But it's kind of like with the main films where just about every spell seems to like make a flashlight and then send somebody flying.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no like differentiation between what the different spells do. They're all the same.
Yeah, they're just kind of power. You're right. That's true. I don't know. And so she's tired of the baby, and so she goes and trades the baby for a quiet baby.
it's literally a soap opera plot.
Yeah.
It's just like straight out of a soap opera.
And is that the Titanic? Or is it just like
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
If it was the Titanic, they didn't do it very well. I mean, I couldn't get a good look at the ship, so I couldn't really tell if it was the Titanic or what it was meant to be. But the sea is like churning, and there's lots of wind. And if you see in the Titanic film, the sea is completely calm, which is how it was in real life. So I was thinking, if this is meant to be the Titanic, it's not very good.
And then there was another passenger on the ship that happened to be Albert Einstein.
Yeah, what? And then is he a wizard? Is that like or was she on a Muggle ship? Or
Well, I guess it must be a Muggle ship because they should. You wouldn't think they'd have. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't think they'd have ships just for wizards, but then they have the Hogwarts Express and the Night Bus, don't they? So maybe
that's right.
In those days, why don't they have an ocean liner?
Yeah, I mean,
just for wizards?
they should make Albert Einstein a wizard. That would be great.
J.K. Rowling, I have better ideas than you right now.
Yeah, we just did it. We just wrote it way better. I mean, that's the thing is that, like I said earlier, that the thing that makes the original Harry Potter movies work is that by themselves, the individual movies are little sort of adventure / mysteries. And you get to follow these kids as they get older, they're, young adults, that they have all of these clues. They have all these things, like whether it's finding one of the Horcruxes or, there's things. And so, yes, you have the bigger narrative, but it's a concise story with clues that you build on and you're learning about. And in this, it's just like, I have no idea. Like, first of all, who is even the protagonist of this?
There isn't one. There is not a protagonist in this movie. It's
like Newt's not the protagonist. He has like the arc of trying to decide what side he's on, which I guess could have been interesting, but like it's so underfed. And of course, like it's so dumb because he's going to choose to be on the side of the raging Nazi who's like,
exactly.
What?
Yeah. I mean,
that's not interesting.
But I think Rowling said in an interview that she thought this series was basically Dumbledore's story. Well, then why don't we make Dumbledore the protagonist?
Yeah, why don't we make him the lead character? And also, why is he like wearing suits? Like, I don't really understand that.
I mean, like in the book when he goes to see Tom Riddle at the orphanage, which will be in the 1930s after this film, he says he's wearing a suit of plum velvet. And Harry, because they're in the pensive, Harry actually says to him, nice outfit.
Yeah. But like,
that's the thing that Dumbledore wears in the books. He always wears these very colourful robes. And the only real reason I could think of maybe in this series was because he still feels so guilty about what happened with Grindelwald and his sister that maybe he doesn't really feel flamboyant enough to dress like that. But then Grindelwald is still at large when he goes to see Tom Riddle.
Well, and he wasn't a defense against the dark arts teacher, was he? in
No,
the.
he was Transfiguration,
That's what I thought.
unless he switched subjects. Because there have been a few teachers who switched subjects. Like obviously, Snape went from potions to Defense Against the Dark Arts. And
I
apparently, Quirrell was the Muggle Studies teacher before he taught Defense Against the Dark Arts in Harry's first year.
I guess like arguably you could say that Boggarts have like some sort of overlap with Transfiguration. Arguably, like I'm just like I mean it's not made clear, but I guess
I don't
you make
know.
that argument. It's just very clumsily handled.
It just didn't feel like Harry Potter, like really at all. I mean, there were little moments in Hogwarts, I guess, but even when I started to think about those later on, I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
McGonagall appears when she's -8 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah, and why would Newt, as a child, pick that doing office work is his greatest fear? Like,
You're thinking that far ahead.
Like most teenagers aren't like, oh, they're really scared of office work. Like what?
Well, maybe his mum or his dad worked in an office, so he really hated that idea. But we don't find out anything about his parents, do we?
That could have been interesting if they had told us that in the script. I don't know. Like there was just a lot of stuff that was like, what? Yeah, and why is McGonagall there? Except for just fan service, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. And so they have this character of Nagini who is in love with Credence, who, by the way, Credence died in the last movie, so that's weird.
Yeah. They don't even explain it, do they?
Go into such lengths to say no again. He's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like blows up in the last one.
Yeah. And we're not going to explain why he can control his Obscurus anyway, either, when Newt said in the last movie that anybody who has an Obscurus dies young.
Oh, yeah.
How did he get to Paris?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
I mean, like the whole reason when Grindelwald likes to hijack the carriage of this big, overdramatic escape plan, the only reason I could think of was that maybe he needed the carriage to get to Europe. But then before the first film, he must have gotten from Europe to America while still a wanted criminal, so he couldn't have just gotten back that way.
Yeah, and can you imagine if Queenie taking Jacob when he's in that weird drunk state all the way to on a boat all the way to London?
There'd be no other way at that point unless you hitch a ride with Charles Lindbergh.
Right.
Charles Lindbergh was also a wizard.
Yeah. So confusing. And yeah, so Credence, he's not the brother, he's not a Lestrange. He's the weird non-crying baby. And but they still have him raised in this orphanage, which I don't know why you would do that. Like, why wouldn't you have him just go to the school there in America?
Ilvermorny.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you just have him protected by other wizards, and like they basically did with Harry Potter?
Well, maybe the like that servant who was like half elf explained it, but I can't remember the exact details.
Yeah, and they build up. You've also got Newt's brother, and it's basically the whole plot, if you can call it a plot, is all these little groups that are looking for Credence. Newt's brother is looking for Credence. Then you have Grindelwald who's looking for Credence, because Credence is the one that can kill Dumbledore or something. I don't know. It's very confusing because Dumbledore can't kill Grindelwald because of the blood pact, which is a new thing.
And as they mentioned in that Tor article, that contradicts canon again, because Dumbledore and Grindelwald did fight each other in the melee that got Ariana killed.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, it doesn't make sense, but your objection makes sense. But I don't know. And there's other groups that are looking for Credence.
Also, can we bring up that all of the new characters introduced in this movie do functionally nothing for the story?
Exactly. I mean, all that fuss about Nagini, about having this Korean woman played the woman who becomes Voldemort's snake, and she didn't even need to be there, did she? She did nothing.
Nobody needed to be there, at all.
She did nothing because, her character made no sense. if she starts out in a circus, like,
And why is that like a big deal to see a woman transforming into an animal? What wizards have probably seen that before. I don't think it's that much of a oh my god, she turned into a thing.
like I don't even know what a circus would be in Wizarding World. Like they can
there's magic every day.
You know, what?
You can't exactly have Penn and Teller, can you?
Here. You see my thumb? I'm going to make this pencil all flubbery.
Gosh. Yeah, so she's like a freak or something because she can turn into a snake. I mean, because, like, I guess if they were, like, she's sort of scary because she can, like, snakes in Harry Potter world, you know, they speak Parseltongue and whatever. Like, I guess I could see it being kind of that kind of scary, like a haunted house kind of scary. But that's not how it's played really at all. And so she's just, like, she's just turned into a snake and she's sort of...
You wonder if maybe there's actually maybe there's no such thing as Maledictus and the circus owner made it up, and she's just a normal animagus, and he's just making up. So, she's not really an animagus. She's this cursed thing who's one day going to be a snake forever.
Yeah,
and it's all a complete con.
Yeah, and she has no real like wicked tendencies or anything particularly scary outside of being a snake. There's no reason to believe why she would become Voldemort's pal.
Well, I guess that's going to be something for the next 3 movies because we learned nothing about her character in this one.
No,
nothing that we haven't already been told. I just already thought we were going to like get some insight into her character and what thoughts she might give, because we don't even get to see how she feels about the fact that one day she's going to be a snake forever. She never gets to talk about that unless it's another deleted scene. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the Ministry of Magic is just the worst.
Also, they renamed it.
Did they?
It was in the first movie, it was MACUSA.
Yeah.
And then in the subtitles, they're just like American Ministry of Magic. Why did they change that? Like it's really like they just suddenly like, did they forget the name?
I have no idea. I guess they thought maybe that's more 1940-ish or whatever, but...
Yeah. I just realised as well, even though this movie was set in France, they never mentioned Beauxbaton, did they? The French school from Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they go out their way to mention Ilvermorny in the first film, and yet nobody mentions the French magic school in this one.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, that's the one with the Floor's from, right?
Yeah, from the Delacour and Madame Maxime from, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The biggest question for me was just like, again, what is Grindelwald's goal? Is his goal to take over the government, to take over lands? Is his goal to get money? Is his goal to indoctrinate people like a cult? You know, like that's different goals. Like different villains should have different goals, but he's just kind of like, here's fire and like here's a bunch of awful stuff that humans do. Like, is his goal racial purity? I don't know. And so when we get this reveal that Credence is a Dumbledore, it was just like, what?
Exactly.
I also, like, when I first was watching it, I thought maybe like I was just like trying to put all the pieces together, and I was just like, wait, is that supposed to be like Aberforth or so? And they like forgot the name, and then I was like trying to like piece everything together, and I was just like, wait, what?
No, it couldn't be Aberforth.
Yeah, right. Like, I just mean like that I was trying to piece everything together because the whole movie was so inconsistent, and I was just, because like I was just like, wait, Dumbledore does have a brother already. Is that like
it makes no sense, Dumbledore's behavior, because he is only showing regret later on in life for the things with his sister. And so it just makes no sense that he would never mention that he had this weird fascist brother.
How did Rita not know about this when she wrote like that biography? Like, you would think, like, we would have known something about it, but
Yeah, if Harry, I mean, you can still understand why somebody like Dumbledore being gay might not come up in front of Harry. If Dumbledore had an extra brother, then at some point in Deathly Hallows, when we're going into all this detail about Dumbledore's family, it would have come up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one thing that's so funny about these movies is we never found out where the Fantastic Beasts are. Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. I have no idea. Like, how does Newt write his book? I have no clue. Like, he obviously loves these animals, but like, that's all they had to do, honestly, is they just had to send Newt over to America and find a bunch of fun animals, and that's it. And meet some fun characters. Boom, you're done. You got it.
It's like they didn't really have that much point in the movie. I mean, they did, like, the Nifflers did a couple of useful things, but
also
it was just there to justify the title.
and even like that like thing that they do to find Tina, like, with the Nifflers. Why haven't they done that in, like, later stories? Like, that would have been very useful.
Yeah, the Nifflers
Like,
would have
to
helped out
find,
a
like,
lot.
Who put Harry's name in the Goblet of Fire?
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh. And the stretch that they have to do for Newt to bring the Niffler to that meeting with the Grindelwald fire meeting, and then for the Niffler to be the one that happens to take the blood oath thing, charm, whatever, I don't know what we call it, locket, I don't know, and for him to be the one, like, that was such it's like, oh, did your back hurt from that stretch?
Are you a yoga teacher, J.K. Rowling?
It's like the Beast as well. Like, it's as if maybe they're trying to, like, force a reason for why Newt has to be the one to take on Grindelwald for Dumbledore, isn't it? Because it's like J.K. Rowling wanted to do this thing about Fantastic Beasts, but also cover Grindelwald, so she has to make Newt Scamander the protagonist, even though he's a completely unqualified zoologist.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and it's weird because I feel like she wanted to be, like, relevant of today and today's politics and whatever, and, like, that I guess that she thought that, I don't know, that Grindelwald was somehow Trump in some way or something. Not to get too into politics, but, like, that doesn't make any sense, really. Yeah. Like, I mean, yes, in the sense that obviously they're both narcissists, but I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense because it just doesn't work. And I feel like she really wanted to, but then she couldn't, and then she kind of halved it.
Unless Grindelwald wants to make the wizarding community great again.
Yeah, that's right. That would have been good. I would have liked that. That made me laugh. I don't know. She's very inconsistent, at least on her Twitter. And I felt that kind of here too, that, like, she wanted to do something bold, but then she kind of was like, oh, maybe not do it bold. So then it just kind of is like, what's going on? So
what's something that's weird is that this movie, like, has, like, so much, it seemingly has so much going on, yet it has, like, nothing going on at the same time. Because when you really think about it, nothing actually, like, that much happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, when you really think about it, the plot is just find Grindelwald / Credence, and
really?
then final thing, like, nothing really happens, like, except for, like, some random inconveniences throughout, but the story itself is just very point A, point B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Grindelwald is, like, still, apart from, like, being free again, which I was right at the beginning, is in pretty much the same position as he was at, like, the start of the first film.
Yeah. It really reminded me of the two Pirates, the second and third Pirates movie, in the sense that there's a lot of interesting ideas in those Pirates movies, and those are better than this, but they just keep adding more plot lines, and they're till the point where at the end of watching that movie, and those movies are so long that it's just like, I'm exhausted from this experience. And there's still enough kind of charm and enough kind of cool sequences and stuff to kind of make it watchable, but I hated those movies when they first came out. But I don't know. That's the only thing I can think to relate it to. That it just felt like a million ideas all squashed into one movie.
Yeah, I was thinking a little bit of Batman v Superman as well because of how many different plot threads that film had, and how you had to kind of remind yourself, what was that person doing last time we saw them?
Yeah, it's true. Well, I don't know what they're gonna do, because this is it already is the lowest grossing Harry Potter movie to yet, and
Opening weekend, at least.
opening weekend, yeah.
It's probably not going to rise, but right now it's just opening weekend. But
Yeah. There's a lot of big stuff coming out though. So
yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, it's going to magically. It's not going to like suddenly make like $1 billion or something. But like, I mean, it's not looking great.
Yeah, I think that they just need to get a screenwriter
Who actually knows how to write things,
write a
or
plot
like screenplays
with coherent characters and
like a sensitivity reader, and like someone who actually like can remember plot points that they establish.
Yeah. This is a problem because Rowling could still write novels. I mean, she's writing, under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith, she's making all these like detective novels set in London.
Yeah, and those are actually pretty okay.
Yeah.
Like,
but novels, they go through so many editors. They go through so many revisions. They take most of them, unless they're really, really quick, like some of the Twilight books, that I feel like they are helped in that regard. Whereas the screenplay, in order for them to get it, done, was clearly rushed, clearly not. There weren't enough people that were willing to be like, what's going on here? This makes no sense. And I'm sure that she would be like, oh, well, it's because of blah, 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 blah. Like, and she would have some convoluted reason for what she's doing. But like, that doesn't really matter. Like, if you as the author, it makes sense in your head, if you're not executing it in a way that people like and people that enjoy, then it doesn't matter. Like, you failed in your and there's people like on my YouTube comments as well, like, good for her for putting out something that makes people actually think. And I was like,
well, the Harry Potter books made you think sometimes as well, and you can still understand what was going on. Yeah, this one is there's just so much left out. It's just incomprehensible.
There's a difference between, let's say, a movie like Interstellar, let's say, okay, that's a movie that was clearly, it's not going to be for everyone, because it's very like, it just sort of overthinks itself a little bit, and you either kind of go with it and appreciate what he does, or you don't, and you don't love it. I feel like that's a movie that I could say, yeah, they were trying to kind of make people think a little bit, but it's not going to work for everybody. Whereas this is just like a mess. This is not trying to like, I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, just like that, from when the scene when Newt and Dumbledore are talking in the bus and they start saying something about Credence's family and Luke says something about Lisa's brother. I just couldn't make sense of it from that point onwards.
No, I could not make sense of any of the characters. Like you said, there were like new characters, and I couldn't tell the new characters. Aside from Newt's brother, he was the only one that like I felt, I guess, had some kind of arc, but I was a little bit confused. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? What's going on with him?
Like, he was doing he was being like perfectly like somewhat reasonable at the beginning of the movie and not seeming to be mean, but then at the end of the movie, like they attack and like petrify him or whatever, and Newt's like, I always wanted to do that my whole life. And like, so where's the connect there? I don't really understand.
Like, got up and left about not just for a break. I needed a break. Like, 45 minutes in, I was just like, oh, I feel almost nauseous. This is just so, like, I don't know. Like, I haven't had that experience.
You missed the reveal about Hedwig being Hagrid's grandmother the whole time.
I would say, you remember how I told you, like, when I went to see the first Fantastic Beasts film, the a bit of the ceiling fell down in the cinema halfway through, and the movie was paused. I guess you could have used that for this movie, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could have for sure. And there's no like house elves in this movie. I guess what happens
There
to
was, there
them?
was one. It was with
Except for
the
like a
circus.
scene
Was there?
at the ministry, like you see them cleaning windows
Yeah.
briefly.
And there was one with the circus owner as well. He was like cleaning up after him when he was leaving.
I mean, I remember thinking after I saw Warcraft, I'm like, you know what? It's not that hard. You just have an evil and you have a hero. And you have the hero and the evil villain or evil force or evil ring or whatever it is. You have that be an obstacle to the hero winning. There you go. That's what you have to do for these kind of stories. It's not like, it is hard because so many don't achieve it, but it really is quite simple. And you have your main hero, you have sidekicks, you have obstacles, and then good wins. That's it. There you go. And this was just like no hero, there's a villain, and then everything else. Yeah, it was crazy. So I don't know. It's we'll see them fight the Nazis in the next movie, I guess. I guess.
Well, I think they're going to Brazil. There's kind of hints that they're going to Brazil for the next film. I think Rowling said something about Rio de Janeiro on her Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, why did we waste all this time with American magic? Like, what?
Maybe they're gonna like. Maybe
What was
they're
the
gonna
point?
like go back to America for the fifth movie, but then if we're going in World War II at that point, then America's not where the fight is it?
Yeah.
Also, Paris doesn't like make much sense either. Like for the movie, like it doesn't really do anything for the plot.
Yeah, the only thing that was Paris about this movie was like, I think one of the apartments or whatever that they're in has like an Eiffel Tower statue. Like that was about it.
No, it had the Arc de Triomphe.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I like this. Like the movie could have taken place like anywhere really,
Yeah.
and it would have been like it would have made just as much sense. But
Bummer. I feel bad. I really do, because like us Star Wars fans, we've already dealt with this twice. So we're like world weary, and at least a lot of us feel that way. And I feel bad for the Harry Potter fans, because this is the first true disaster, I think, in the franchise.
Yeah, I just left this film thinking like I can't defend Rowling anymore. Like I tried to defend her with like some of the more questionable decisions, but there's just no getting around this one. She messed up with this one. She dropped the ball.
Yeah. Like I defended Cursed Child. I thought it was like, it's not great and it has lots of problems, but at least it was a little fun.
Yeah, like I never accepted it as canon, but I thought it was a good story. Like if you take it as fan fiction,
especially if you watch it on stage, it's like incredible.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the effects are like, that's like the main reason it exists. So you can at least defend it on that front. This has no justification.
Yeah.
In any regard, really.
Yeah, agreed. That's too bad. I think sometimes these franchises just get a little too greedy, and that, I was thinking about, of course, Batman has been very up and down. You have Star Wars, you have Star Trek has had its doozies for sure over the years. Like, I don't know. So maybe they had a pretty good run, Harry Potter.
Let's pack it in.
Maybe I'll try and end it with the next movie. Just try and fast forward everything.
Do you think they're really going to be able to sustain 5 movies?
I really
if it just
hope
keeps
not.
getting worse, then yeah.
I don't want them to. Like, I feel like partially responsible for this, because I'm just like, I want more Harry Potter stories. I want more in the Wizarding World. And then we get this, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
Is she just like doing this out of spite? Like just like because she doesn't want to, and she just wants to get back at us for wanting more? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I could. This is one of those movies. It's like Gene Siskel used to say that he'd rather watch a movie about these guys eating lunch. Like, I think it's the same thing. I'd rather watch a movie about these guys These actors eating lunch. Yeah, so, oh well, I think we basically, isn't that crazy? We haven't even talked about that much, but we covered basically all the major stuff. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
So,
I think the only thing I was going to say about how wasted Lethal Lestrange was because we don't even find
She
everything out about her
just
and her
dies, like
history with
automatically,
Newt, and then she
like, oh,
dies.
a vaguely interesting character. Oh no, she's dead.
her
Yeah,
whole role is to confuse Tina about Newt being in love with her and to be the exposition dumper for Credence, right?
yeah. I mean, there was some kind of hint in the first film that maybe her Newt's relationship with her kind of influenced his character in some way, but we didn't really get any of that in this
No,
film.
no.
We didn't learn it. We didn't really learn all that much about their history except their time at Hogwarts. Like, what happened after that? How did she end up getting engaged to Newt's brother? And now there's not really much point in knowing that because she's dead.
Yeah, I have no idea. But maybe she'll come back to life like Credence. We have no idea.
Hey.
But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I didn't understand Queenie's decision to follow Grindelwald because
Jacob
first of all,
rejected her, like doing that in the first place. So
Yeah.
why did she still go? Like when her main purpose for like joining him rejected that in the first place. So
yeah, because Jacob is not gonna like if she's doing it to be able to marry Jacob. First of all, she can do that in England, and second of all, that's not something Jacob's going to support at all.
No.
And it wasn't clear whether these people were acting on their own autonomy or they were under some kind of spell or what was going on there. And then like people just kept like getting blown up like it was like Infinity War but a little faster. And I was like
yeah, like at the beginning with the guy that Grindelwald switches places with. I thought maybe I was mistaken, but I thought I'd seen that lizard thing like shoot some kind of thorn at him. And I was wondering if that was like putting him under mind control or something.
and also like with that also okay, I just remembered something. Okay. So you know how like in that scene where the guys in like where what is supposedly Grindelwald is in that cell and like he destroys a fly like just like with that just to like show how like evil he is or whatever. When you reveal that that's not Grindelwald, then that kind of ruins the whole point of like that moment, doesn't it?
yeah.
Maybe that was like a shield that had been put around him.
Right, exactly. Like
weird.
Like it's so unclear.
The other thing too, do you think that they added that scene with Grindelwald and Dumbledore like hand touching or whatever after
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think that was added late because people are upset that it wasn't like gay enough or whatever.
It's more just like I think it's more like the case of like you announce this thing about the character and now you have a chance to do something with it and you just don't like so now they just like throw it in like, oh look, they held hands once.
They like had the hand touch kiss, I guess is what you're supposed to believe.
maybe
Gay, but not too gay.
Maybe that's how like maybe that's how gay people like procreate in this universe.
See, that would be interesting. You could tell the story about that.
Yeah, we don't even know how the Wizarding World feels about homosexuality.
And then they had Neville Longbottom's mom together. And that's how that happened.
There you go. See, we made a much better movie already. But like seriously, I mean, I don't know. Like it was weird because they were just all kind of like, oh, so he's more important than your brother, than a brother, but and then this scene, and that's why it looked like okay, they added this kind of late, because they don't want to tick off the Chinese audience, which I mean the Chinese censors will not allow a homosexual relationship, and so they like I'm sure that Warner Brothers was like, why did you say that, JK? Like why? Because that just makes their thing way harder, and of course it shouldn't be. But that's the reality of the situation. If they want to spend $200 million on these movies, then they have to make it accessible to China. And that's not going to be accessible to China. And so there's I was like, okay, what? And so, yeah, then they had to kind of create this whole blood pact and whatever. And I don't know, it was weird. But, and I mean, I would have liked sort of, instead of just having the scene where they're touching hands, I would have liked one scene where they were talking about things, why he was drawn to him. What was the appeal? What was going on, you know? Like, was he a charismatic guy? Was he a smart guy? Like, what was it?
Yeah, well, they did talk about it a little bit in the book, but I guess it would have been good to, if you could, we've already had like one flashback with Hogwarts, so I guess you could always have a flashback with Dumbledore and Grindelwald, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could have a pensieve or something. I don't know, just something. Like, as opposed, maybe he just thought he was hot. That's it. That's all we're gonna get. I don't know.
Well, he definitely went downhill, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. Woo. I mean, I wouldn't make a blood pact if it was somebody that I just thought was hot. I don't think.
No.
I have to
probably
think
want to
about
know
that.
a little more about him. Did that? I don't know.
I have to seriously think about that. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, I am 37 and single, so I don't know. Maybe I would. I don't know. But I would have liked a little bit more about why they had this relationship, what made them matter to each other, why they were attracted to each other, than just a hand touch scene. But anyway, I think we basically covered most of it. It is just a terrible movie. I kept thinking about, like, why should this not be on my top 10 worst of the year? Like, I don't know.
It's already like on my bottom, like it's my number one, like most like disliked of the year. It's like bottom on my list, like because I'm purposefully not seeing movies I know I'm gonna hate like now, but
yeah,
like it's just made it to the bottom, and I didn't want to say that about a Harry Potter movie, but here we are.
It's kind of sad when I dislike a Harry Potter movie more than Uncle Drew. Like, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, the only really bad films I've seen in the cinema this year would be this film and Venom, and this is definitely worse than Venom.
Definitely worse than Venom. At least Venom was a little funny at times.
Oh yeah,
it had some jokes. Yeah. So I don't know.
Venom has a better gay relationship than this movie.
Oh, darn it. It's too bad. It's a bummer. But yeah, and it's so funny because every video that I've watched in preparation to do this, I've watched some videos. Every one I'm like, they explain something that I'm like, I hadn't even thought of that. That's another thing that's completely screwed up.
It's like
everyone just keeps thinking about new problems with this movie, don't they? There's just so many.
Yeah.
Every single scene like pretty much warrants like its own like discussion about like why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's anyway, so there you go. That's this movie. If you saw the Crimes of Grindelwald and you liked it and you want to defend it, go do so in the comment section. We'd love it. Yes. But if you have any comments, put in the comment section. We'd love it. And hopefully we will get, I don't know, somehow there'll be some sort of redemption for this series. But you always have the original movies. And
it was all a dream.
Yeah, it's all a dream. That's a great idea.
That would be the one time I would welcome that twist.
Yes. That's what they should do. But anyway, yeah, put your comments in and let us know what you think and what was your experience watching it. And yeah, everybody in my theater was kind of upset. Like, it didn't go well. And I looked over at my friend and she's just like, what's going on?
Just thought maybe Newt Scamander is like Gilderoy Lockhart and he's just making the whole thing up. Maybe this is like another book that he's writing. It's like his autobiography and he's embellishing it.
Or maybe this is like the Quibbler version of what happened.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's just like a big prank at the end. Like at the beginning of the next movie, she can be like, ha ha.
JK.
JK Rowling, it was perfect. Anyway, let us know what you think. And And I had fun talking about it with you guys.
This has been brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I am free and never have to talk about this movie again.
Deep breaths. Bad feelings out. So, Hayden, how can people find you online?
My personal account on Twitter is at Pinafore but I would love it if you could follow my professional acting account, which is at the Hayden Wilder.
Great. We'll have that links down in the description section. And Richard, where can people find you?
Well, my Twitter is at RJ_Southwith. My blog where I talk about film reviews like this one is velociraptor256.wordpress.com. And I also have a YouTube channel that's just Richard Southwith.
Great. I'll put links down for that as well. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over the internet and on iTunes and on YouTube. So we'd love getting your reviews on iTunes and your thumbs up here on YouTube if you're watching there. So thanks so much, you guys. This was really fun. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, great fun. Thank you.
Bye.